The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Y'all miss me? I know I missed y'all too. Welcome to Sooner or Later Sports Show. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up here on the channel. It's been a bit because it's dead period, guys. Ain't much going on, so we're going to kick it. We're going to talk some ball. I got some special folks in. The collective's going to kick it, so we're going to talk ball. We're going to talk, Sooner stuff. We're going to talk SEC stuff. We're going to talk a little video games. We're just going to chill out today. So thank y'all for pulling up here on the YouTube channel. Please hit that like button. As well as if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you are listening to the audio version, please rate, review, give us 5 stars. You don't think you deserve it? Let's go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. So let me go ahead and bring the gents in. We're going to talk some ball. We've got, of course, Chris as well as PG. Gentlemen, what's going on?
Not much
going on.
Invite.
Thank y'all for pulling up with your boy. We ain't had Chris on in a bit. Chris, what's been good, man? How's life treating you?
Man, hey, life is great, man. A lot of things that are happening behind the scenes and all the rest of that stuff. But yeah, just kind of took a little bit of a mental break. Football is technically over, but it's never really over, especially, PG. I know PG is always humming with the recruits and all the rest of that stuff. So I'm back, and I think I'm about to start bumping out some more vids or whatnot. Y'all, if y'all haven't already seen it, then go to the channel and watch that video that I did with Barry from Be Wise Fitness, Barry and Max Show. 5 reasons why Jackson Arnold will be successful in 2024. Definitely check that video out. Quick plug, but hey, thanks for the invite, man. It's been too long.
Yeah, I know, man. It's been a bit. PG, talk to the people, man. How you doing? How you been? How's everything going? We just did some videos together yesterday.
Yeah, I've been good. I actually am not wearing the hoodie that I wanted to be wearing today, so I guess I'll wait to announce that at a later date. But I'm missing a lot of your subscriber base because they ain't showing up on my channel no more. So y'all got to hop over there and go watch some videos.
Yeah, show PG some love. Hit him up, PG show, man. So me, it's been crazy. Traveling, took some vacation time, had to decompress. Luckily, it's February, so it's Love Month. So all the bubbly love stuff is supposed to be going on. Black History Month and everything else is going on or whatnot. So it's dead period too. So for the players, there's not really contact, I guess you could say. So you don't really see that going on. For those that are in recruiting. And so we're just preparing ourselves until March. That's when we'll have the next junior day. Is that's the Freaks weekend, right? PG? Elite Freaks or whatever?
March 9th is Future Freaks. And
Future
then there's
Freaks,
one
that's what it's called.
I believe, if I'm right, I'll have to look at my calendar. I think there's one on April 10th or April 9th or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. I know it's beginning of March, beginning of April, you'll have more juniors coming in since they're basically next year's class. And I'm anticipating us seeing some sort of commitments coming down. But until then, ain't much to talk about in that capacity. So see y'all here in the comments. What's good, everybody? Missed y'all. It's like I said, it's been a bit, been doing, getting everything going. What's good, Mike? What's good, everybody? Glad to see you as well. Go check out the Sooner Legends. He talks a lot about some of the old school stuff, show him some love and support, keeps him busy, I guess you could say. So that's always a plus for all of us. So anyway, had a few things to dive into today, man. I wanted to, like I said, talk ball. I want to talk about, me and PG talked about this on his channel. You can watch the video where we kind of dive into the best QB wide receiver duos in college football. But I want to even break that into just duos in general. So set of wide receivers, and QB wide receivers. Kind of curious to see what everybody thinks about that. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this bad boy up real quick. That's not what I wanted to do, but it's okay. We're not gonna get mad. Let's see. How do I want to do this? All right. I'm actually organized it on this side. And I'm gonna move you there. There we go. We're gonna pull that up so everybody can see. We got that list that popped up from 247. I thought it was interesting, right? Me and PG, like I said, talked about it the other day. What jumped out to me on this is, one, it's of course all college football. 2, they actually got a sophomore on here that has no real starts, right? No long-term starts. So we have a very small sample size of what he's done with Jackson Arnold. And so I thought this was real interesting to see. So um Chris, looking at this list, here's your top 10. You got Quinn Ewers and Isaiah Bond as one. You're looking at Dylan Gabriel, Tez Johnson at two, Noah Fafita, and T Mac at three, Cameron Ward, Carson Beck, all the way down to Jackson Arnold, number 10. You dropped a video talking about Jackson Arnold, the 5 reasons why he'd be successful. When you see this, does this sound right?
I think it does. Some of it may be a little bit of recency bias. Some of it is built off of hype. I mean, look, we've had that DG experience. We understand that those long balls. You're either on this side or you're on that side of that subject or whatnot. But I think this list is correct for right now. I see Jackson Arnold and Nick Anderson being able to, honestly, it could be Nick Anderson, it could be Gibson this year, Deion Burks. Hell, it could be Farouk. It could be Andrell Anthony if he comes back healthy. So I mean, I think he has a group of guys that give him the opportunity to really advance in this. Advance upwards on this list. I think the interesting thing is that now Emeka Ibugwe, like I get it with that, but Will Howard, I don't know. I probably would put the boys at number 9 and start there. I think Trey Harris and Jackson Dart already. I think they could arguably be higher. I think Brady Cook and Luther Burden could be higher. I think Carson Beck and Dominic Lovett could be lower simply because Brock Bowers isn't there. So now it's going to be like, who the hell is really going to step up? Hell, it could be Evans,
Right.
I mean, you never know. And I think that Cam Ward and Restrepo, is that how you say his last
I
name?
think it's Restrepo, yeah.
That is,
Xavier
I
Restrepo.
think that's a solid place for them to be on that list. Why? Because I think he's just like a Cole Beasley, those type of guys, as far as just those vaunted, slot receivers that are just open all the time, right?
I see that.
So, I think it's a pretty good list, but definitely with Jackson Arnold, to answer your question directly, I think it's fair where they're at. I think it's only going to get better, man. I really believe that he's going to be successful, and I think that he has a group of guys that could propel him to that next level as well, because he has a lot of talent. And I mean, let's just be real. This is one of the first years that you can legitimately come into a season and say, I think that we have a really, really good wide receiver room. Not just one or two guys. No, we have a really good wide receiver room.
Yeah, no, exactly. PG, we talked about this a little bit. Now that you've marinated on it from our conversation, how are you feeling about this entire list? Like what, any changes in opinions or thoughts when it came to seeing this setup?
Oh, 100%. I'm moving Quinn Ewers and Isaiah Bond down quite a bit, mainly because I don't think Quinn Ewers is as accurate as a quarterback as he needs to be. And have we really seen enough from Isaiah Bond to think he is one of the best wide receivers on this list? I don't think so. So, again, I think I'm still rolling with DG and Tez Johnson at number 1, just because Tez Johnson was one of the best wide receivers in the country last year. And then, obviously, we all know what Dylan Gabriel do whenever he's healthy and got a good offensive line. And I'm not worried about Oregon having a bad offensive line because they have, I think it's Tony Cupo out there, and he's really good. Additionally, I'm looking at Cameron Ward and Xavier Restrepo at number 2. Cam Ward's an absolute dog, and Xavier Restrepo, again, was a top 5 wide receiver last year. And I really like that duo for Miami. I think Miami's offense is going to take leaps this year. And then I would put Noah Fafita. I hope I said that right, Noah Fafita, and McMillan at number 3. Now, do I move Jackson Arnold and Nick Anderson into that number 4 spot, I think a lot of it is going to be based off of what I saw from Jackson Arnold in high school and then what I saw from him, I guess, early in the season in those games that he came into play, and then what I saw in the BYU game. Obviously, what you saw in the Arizona game, yeah, it looked bad, but taking the context of he had a put-together offensive line, people were opting out of that game, Jackson Arnold was obviously going to struggle a little bit there. So looking at what he did in the BYU game, earlier in the season and then what he did in high school. Obviously, Jackson Arnold's got a lot of upside. I'm not sure if he's number 4, but I could definitely say number 5. I think the one that you really question is Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, because Travis Hunter is an absolute monster athlete. And listen, Shedeur Sanders, he was slinging the ball all over the year. So,
you say that, and that makes me want to ask y'all both this question, all right? So, when I looked at the list and just cliff notes of me and PG talking about it, I like that Jackson Arnold's down there at 10 because that tells me that they see something, especially top 10 in college football, a player that we've seen truly seen limited snaps on. Obviously, you saw the potential in the Alamo Bowl, and it's there. But I don't understand. We watched Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter light up college football. Why are they not top 5? Why aren't they even top 3? Because we know what they can do. I mean, Shedeur threw for over 4,000 yards, and Travis Hunter is he plays on both sides of the ball absurdly well. Why aren't they higher?
I'll tell you.
I'll tell you why. One word is humility. That's what. I mean, look, anybody that's ever been good in any type of sport that's ever been mentioned on any type of list or whatnot, you understand the politics that kind of go behind this. It's all about just making sure that they understand. We think you're really good. We think you're elite. But it's a thing about humility as well. Over there, Colorado's about to flash and dash. So I mean, I think that
fair.
I think that's that. I'll go back to this whole Carson Beck and Dominic Lovett thing. And I'm not saying Lovett is not a talented wide receiver, but that wideout from that just transferred from Miami, hell, I think he may have a better connection with Carson Beck. I think he may be. He could really come in there and turn some heads as well. I forgot about that kid transferring over there. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that Shedeur and Travis Hunter should be higher. I would probably put them higher than Fafita and McMillan, to be honest with you. McMillan and Fafita had a really great outing, kind of a showcase against us, which, you'll give them that. But I think I'd probably put them up there higher than that. And I think that we kind of have to wait and see if 1 and 2 of those tandems are actually going to work out. Like I said, Tess Johnson, fast guy, stretch the field, deep balls. Is that going to be an issue for Dylan Gabriel when he's there as far as that? I know the offense is, I feel like, more predicated to his game, maybe even more so than what Levy was doing. But at the same time, the deep ball has always kind of been kind of a iffy subject, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Heated subject. But then also Quinn Ewers and Isaiah Bunn. Isaiah Bunn is tabbed as this really fast wide receiver. But I think, who was that I was talking to? Was it Nick? I think it was Nick. Shout out Nick from Nino's Corner. Maybe it was a Ty or somebody. But I was basically telling them, I was like, Isaiah Bunn, to me, is just a stretch guy. And I wouldn't even really call him a home run hitter, but he's a stretch guy. But a lot of the plays, if you look at a lot of his touchdowns and a lot of the big yardage plays that he had, I mean, Milroe is basically keeping the play alive, and with his legs, he's just running outside of the pocket. Everybody's respecting that, and then everybody's getting open down the field. And when he would see the guys, he would hit and connect. So I think we still kind of got to wait on those guys, but it's definitely a good list, but definitely some questionable, some spots on there, honestly, where you could say maybe we move these people down and move these people up.
Yeah, PG. That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out with the Shedeur piece. We watched them play. We've seen them show up. How are they not? And I get the humidity angle on it, but no, we know they're good. We can't.
I know exactly what it is. I know exactly what it is. Pull up that list again, and I'll tell you exactly what it is, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And by the way, shout out to the Bomb for gifting 20 of your members subs.
Oh, wow!
20 subs. So
Thank you.
That's pretty big. So, okay, if you look at this list, what do the top 5 teams all have in common outside of the quarterback and wide receiver? They have a good returning offensive line.
Fair point.
And it. I mean, it's if you're gonna make this list, I don't feel like you can look at it from the perspective of which teams have a good offensive line, but it would make sense. Jackson Arnold, Nick Anderson are at number 10. OU does not have on this list. They probably are going to, by a lot of people's thinking, have the worst offensive line because they're turning over 5 new offensive linemen. Colorado did not have a good offensive line last year. Otherwise, yeah, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are probably higher up on this list. So that's how I kind of look at it. That's what I think happened. I think they looked at this list and they looked at other factors too and said, hey, these teams don't have a good offensive line. So, yeah, they might be a duo, but are they going to produce at a high level? Because we don't know what that coverage is going to look like for the quarterback.
Right. And the offensive line makes sense. I guess that's probably a piece that I didn't consider in the conversation. While at the same time, though, he still threw for 4,000 yards. And Travis Hunter, barring injury, if he wasn't injured, he probably gets you 7 to 1,000 yards receiving, right?
But people have seen Shedeur now in Power 5 football. I think they're expecting next year for a little bit more people to be prepared, and he's heading to, in my opinion, a better conference.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say in theory the Big 12 is a better conference now. Well, I mean, of course, with all the players that they're adding into it, but I mean, the Pac wasn't no punk. They were playing against some, I mean, Washington did go to the national championship, so it's not like we can pretend like they weren't doing something.
But at the same time, Deion didn't handle. I think that he didn't necessarily handle everything the best. I mean, when you're shuffling your, back, because I don't know when it happened, but when you're taking play calling duties away from your offensive coordinator and different things like that, Travis Hunter is injured, and he was kind of he was a shell of himself when he came back from that injury, trying to get back. So I mean, I think he still was able to put up numbers and do things, but I mean, it just got to the point where, I don't know. I mean, I still think that he's an NFL quarterback, maybe not as high as Kiper, had him, but at the same time, I think that he is an NFL quarterback and he will go pretty high. He has a chance to go first round to really kind of establish himself. He's done nothing but win and nothing but really good things at every level that he's played. Shedeur has. I think this year is kind of a confirmation of what Deion has been talking about for the longest. So I'm excited for Colorado, and I think honestly coming to the Big 12, it's going to help them. I haven't really looked at their schedule again, but I would say that they stack up pretty well. I would feel like, and I think with some of the additions that they've made on the offensive line, they should be better. I mean, they've gotten bigger. I mean, I think
they have no excuse not to be better. There's no excuse for them not to be able to make some noise. At least, well, I mean, now they also have a whole bunch of staff changes. So I guess that's probably why you would ask the question of how much better can they truly be with all the staff changes they're making. So
I did want to ask Chris this question, though, because I asked you, Jay. Chris, so Dominic Levitt and Carson Beck. So you were kind of talking about that Georgia pairing. Isn't it weird that they would include a quarterback wide receiver duo for Georgia when they're so heavily reliant on those tight ends? Do we really believe they're going to use the wide receiver that much? Because Levitt was there last year and he only had sub 700 yards.
Yeah. Well, if you ask Ty and you ask Nick, SEC Connect, y'all check us out. But if you ask those two say, oh, well, no, they have another 5-star tight end. We know they have 5-star tight ends. We know they have all that stuff, but I'm not convinced yet, right? I don't know what Bobo is going to do with that offense next year because it seems to me they're going to have to spread the wealth because didn't they lose Ladd McConkey as well?
No, is McConkey, is he graduating?
Yeah, he's in the draft. He's been doing draft stuff.
Exactly. So you lose you lose your safety valve, right? You lose your guy that's always open, and then you lose basically the heart and soul of your offense in Brock Bowers. So it's going to be a readjustment period, and I think that hell, it may even be unfair to really put them on that list because what Kirby is going to do. Kirby is going to manage the game by doing what? He's going to run. He has 40 running backs on the team, so he's just going to lean on that run game.
which is what Mike Bobo's known for.
Yeah.
Right. The Bobo offense is mainly
and I get it, but he's going to lean heavy on that. And this is why I say that, okay? So people don't think that, oh, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Because I think I've asked this question a while back is, what does Kirby do with Carson Beck? Does he let him be Jake Fromm, or does he let him be Stetson Bennett? Right? Does he let him go out there and win games for him, or does he make him a certified game manager? Because you could really it could really be 60-40 either way as far as what Carson Beck was this year. Was he a Stetson Bennett-alike player where he go out there and make plays, he commanded the offense, had all the rest of that? Or is he just a game manager to get you where you need to be to the promised land, which is obviously SEC championship game and with the chance to go and play for the college football, championship.
Yeah, so, it feels like he was more of just a manager, really. And
exactly.
he's good enough. Let's put it like that.
I think he's good enough.
I just don't think that he's I think he's more of a game manager than a game changer. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not going to be the factor that changes everything for what Georgia's done, because I don't think he's at that level of talent. It's just unfortunate he ain't it. But he's good. He's going to win games, and he's going to be consistent. Now, I mean, they lost to an Alabama team that we considered one of the worst ones of the Saban era. So that's where you have questions there. But it's funny, too, when I look at this list, every single one of these quarterbacks, except for Jackson Arnold, has basically a full season of film.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And that's what jumped out to me the most. It's like, oh, okay. So they really do see Jackson Arnold as something that's going to be special. But there's a question in the chat that jumped out to me. Ace asked this question. Can somebody explain the Texas hype? They lost all their game changers. Only thing they didn't lose was Quinn Ewers, basically.
And their offensive line.
Right. And the line. So you asked the question, why are they on hype, man? Everybody, they've hyped Texas for years. And this is the thing that jumps out to me, too. And I said this when I was talking to PG. Quinn Ewers up there at number 1. Because Quinn Ewers is as hyped as everybody is making him. Why is he not in the draft? Like, why are we still looking at his face? Why is he still here?
Look, that
doesn't make any sense to me.
That's a conversation I'm not ready for, Jay.
I don't get it. Like, I truly do not get it. Like, I'm trying to understand, why are we still talking about him as if he is truly a savior if
you got to see another season of improvement in the accuracy, because I'm not going to lie, last year he improved in his accuracy from the year before, right? So I think you need to see a year of improvement in accuracy and not being hurt. I think if Quinn Ewers can do both of those things, maybe he earns himself into the top 3 rounds for this next year's draft. Because regardless whether Oklahoma fans want to acknowledge it or not, talk good about a Texas guy, Quinn Ewers did improve last year.
Yeah, I mean, overall he
wasn't good enough, I mean, to be honest.
Overall, yeah. And the other thing, too, is, which is going to lead to the next conversation. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. Check out Horns Down Podcast as well as the PG Show. Like, subscribe, rate, review, do all of that. And if you're listening, give us 5 stars, right? So let's jump into production. So I did a video kind of diving into it. I kind of wanted to make this an open session of conversation, including everybody here in the chat. So, of course, I want to hear from y'all. Love to hear y'all's comments. This engagement always, of course, not only helps us, but helps us create better content, right? We like to make stuff for you, all the people. And so I want to talk about SP Plus ratings on the 2024 returning production on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. So if you don't know, SP Plus is Bill Connelly's rating system that he uses over at ESPN. And it's kind of like it tells the story of, with everything analytics-wise, who do we think is, going to win games, who's considered better, who's considered worse. It's just it's a measuring stick to understand where a team should be. And Oklahoma was rated very high on SP Plus all of last season. Even in our bad days, we were still rated in the top 10 the entire time. So it was just, we underachieved from what we should have done. So I get people, being upset with it. But this jumped out to me, right? Production wise, I'm gonna show y'all these charts. If you watched the video, I've talked about this before, but I want to get everybody's opinion on it. Returning offensive production, we are dead last in the SEC. Returning defensive production, we are number 1 in the SEC. And we're number 8 in the country in defensive production coming back. That's freaking huge, right? This is why I have been vehemently battling the 7.5 win spread, because the one thing that a Venables team is known for is defense, right? His teams are always known for being defense. That's he's a defensive coordinator by trade. That's what he is. We're bringing back all of our production, so there's a great chance that we'll have the top defense in the SEC next year. Very good chance. Georgia's at 11, in which they always retool and bring back a lot, as PG likes to say, and they should be fine. But we've got veteran presence and a lot of young kids. So first off, offensive side of the ball, we're 16th. Anybody underneath 8 is replacing their starting quarterback. That's probably the one thing to recognize. So, pass it to you guys on here. When you see this offensive production, what excites you and also what concerns you when you see this rating?
That Missouri is going to be a lot tougher team than people think. So many people are fixated on why Missouri is so highly thought of for next season. This is why.
Because they're bringing back so many players.
Yep.
I mean,
this is
fair.
why. This is why. Now, as you pointed out to me, though, yesterday when we were talking, I believe it was in the green room.
Yeah.
Yes, they're bringing back a lot of players, but they're now replacing coaches. So now we get to find out, is it Drink or was it the assistants? And if it wasn't Drink, his ass might get fired this season, even if they win 7 games. So because Missouri's got a lot of momentum, and you don't carry on that momentum with a coach that's not able to get it done. So, but for Oklahoma, I mean, it's interesting that we're dead last, but I also understand it because you're replacing a starting quarterback and you're replacing your entire offensive line. So you're replacing a total of 6 guys. I think everybody else.
And your top receiver.
Top receiver.
Drake Stoops. Statistically.
Okay, yeah, Drake Stoops. But I mean,
no, statistically. That's what I mean. Like production.
I mean, because you got Anderson, you got Farouk and those guys there. So.
Right, because he's not our best receiver, but statistically, he was the most productive receiver on the team. So, yeah.
The defense, so I like how we're pointing out the defense. Okay.
All right. We'll get on defense in a minute.
Okay.
Chris, let's keep it on the offensive side first. Chris, when you saw this, what excites you and what concerns you?
Well, first off, I'm gonna tell you my biggest concern is how the hell are we below Vandy? That makes no sense. That makes no sense at all. You're sitting here telling me, okay, Dylan Gabriel, I'll give you that. Drake Stoops, okay, but I think honestly, hey, and I love Drake Stoops. Everybody knows I've went toe to toe with Texas guys about Drake Stoops being drafted, all the rest of that stuff. But at the same time, Jay, you've heard me say this a lot over these last month or so after the season. I think we gotten better. Because we have some options at the slot receiver now, and I think we got a chance to be better. So, with that being said, man, you're looking at that and you're like, okay, well, did Tawi hurt us or what's going on? But
more production.
I think for me, I think the only thing that's concerning is just the fact that I think the only thing that concerns me is will we really meet the expectation, right? The expectation of what the level that we're supposed to play to. This is an offense, honestly, that should average somewhere between 33 points to 40 points a game. I don't care that we're going to the SEC. We should be able to do that. So the only thing that's concerning is this, have we given Latrell enough time to really get everything that he wants in, as far as from the day after the Arizona game all around and fall camp as well. I mean, Gavin Sawchuk, man, guys like that, Barnes, all of those guys, you can't just do mental reps this year. You got to have it all the way around, man, because it matters that much. But I mean, I think for me, I'm excited about the offensive line, to be honest with you. Yeah, we lost some guys, but we had guys that actually stepped up and played this season as well.
Fair.
Sexton, I think Jake Taylor. I mean, you go out there and you add guys in the portal that have the experience and the talent and who probably can come in and just play right away for Beatenbow. But you also go out there and recruit guys like Eugene Brooks, Pierre Lewis, guys like that who honestly could see themselves on the field this year if everything goes well, especially this summer or whatnot. But I think the offensive line is going to be a strength. I think that the wide receiver core is extremely dangerous, and if anybody underrates that wide receiver core, they're crazy. And I think Jackson Arnold, I mean, I think he's going to put it all together this year. But Seth Luttrell, that's kind of, to me, I think that's the one wild card right there. Is just, does he have enough time to do what he needs to do?
Yeah, the way he calls the game is really going to be important. So for context, for anybody that's wondering, we're losing, of course, 3,660 passing yards out of over 4,200 yards. We lost 800 of our 2,300 rushing yards. We lost 1,100 of our 4,000 receiving yards. So you got Stogner on there too, who he only had like almost 200 yards last season, but he still was production that's gone. With Drake Stoops, who had 900 yards, he led the team in yards and receptions at 84. A lot bigger than we expect, right? He was really a safety net for Dylan Gabriel. He was the guy that he went to that was the most reliable. Even with drops, he was still the most reliable. And then in the season, and PG, you're right, after the bowl game, Nick Anderson finished with 10 touchdowns, tied with Drake Stoops for 10 touchdowns on the season. So you were correct on your video. I was wrong. I forgot that he did score in the bowl game. And so and then of course the 5 linemen, 4 of them go to the draft. 1 of them, transferred out. So yeah, the snap count numbers, we're losing so much. So it makes sense to be 44%. And Chris, I know you asked the question about Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's returning a lot of their players, just not their quarterback. And
then they lose the best wide receiver too.
It's just snaps. Yes,
they lost the best wide receiver to Colorado. Yeah, I mean, but it's Vandy. It's Vandy.
Yeah, it's Vandy. So it's not someone that we're truly concerned about, right? They don't have James Franklin out there, creating a miracle for them. But when we go in here defensively, because this is a great point by Robert. Robert, you know me, I try to keep it a buck when it comes to these conversations.
I'm about to go off on Robert.
even not even being negative about it, but you're right? The defense has to show even more improvement, but this is a good thing, right? I mentioned in my video, numbers wise, we went from the 60s in the advanced metrics to the 30s. So in the most important components of the game, we improved dramatically year over year, which means we're going in the exact route that Venables typically goes. He did this exact same thing at Clemson. His first year there, he was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s in advanced metrics on his defense. Second season, he moved into the 30s and 10s in some metrics. And then the year after that, boom, you see him with a top 5 defense. We're on pace to do that now.
Yeah.
And luckily, the teams that we're playing, when you're looking at the offensive production, Missouri is probably the biggest threat because they are returning Cook as well as both his receivers and Theo Weiss as well as Luther Burden, which that was interesting to me too, PG. And I'm going to let you talk about this in just a second, is that Cook is bringing back all this production, but they weren't considered the best duos in college football. Like, that's what's fascinating
Brady
to me.
Cook and Luther Burden were.
Were they on that list?
Yep.
They were on that list.
They were number 6.
They were 6. They were 6. I figured they would have been higher than that because of the production they brought back. That was what kind of wild to me in seeing that. But then you've got, of course, Texas is bringing back their quarterback, but they're retooling their receiver room. Auburn, I mean, Chris, are you really big on Thorne? Do you really think that he's gonna
come on, man? Hey, guys, look.
Your boy Robbie's gone now, and you were hardcore about him. Like,
there will be a continuation of the Dogs and Bums series, and I can already tell you that Peyton Thorne's going to be out there, of course.
All right, want to make sure. Ole Miss, of course, bringing Jackson Dart back, right? And he lost his tight end because Lane Kiffin doesn't use tight ends. But you got to ask the question: is they going to be as productive? That much of a concern. Bama still got Jalen Milroe. We'll see what that offensive coordinator there can now do with him. You think Kalen DeBoer is a really good coach. I think he'll need an additional year with Milroe before he can really do something, especially since Julian Sand decided to transfer out.
And they lost so much on the offensive side of the ball, too.
Yeah. I mean, that's very
fair. They lost
fair.
Offensive linemen to the draft, to the portal. They
wide
lost
receiver. Yeah, they lost a lot of key players.
That Bama team ain't going to be very good next year. Ty, we're going to have to get Ty some therapy.
And then, of course, LSU, they don't have Daniels. Actually, they lost, both their receivers and Daniels? God.
Yeah.
They got a lot to figure out. We got South Carolina, who's got a lot to figure out. I don't even know who their quarterback is. I need to go look up their depth chart.
You want to hear who it is? I know who it is.
Who do you think it's going to be?
Well, okay. I don't think it's going to be this person, but he's on that team. He's going to get a shot.
Who?
Davis Bevel.
Yes. Bevel was there. He ain't gonna play.
Come on.
So I knew he was going there.
God
Come
hope
on,
they
man.
roll him out there in Norman.
Now the only one on here that I think is gonna be a lot better than expected is probably Tennessee, because I think Nico's the real deal. He was one of the top 2 quarterbacks, him and Jackson Arnold in last year's class.
What's their offensive line look like? Because I know they did a good job recruiting the offensive line. Like they got a couple guys that Oklahoma
piecemeal through
wanted,
the
but-
portal. I mean, they got Lance Hurd. You know, we were in a NIL battle with them for Hurd, but overall, I don't know what
they
that
got
line's going to look like. I had to
Max-
go dig deep into their line and see what they look like next year. I'm
Well,
going
they
to do
got
a
Max
breakdown
Anderson
of all of
and
our
Bennett
opponents.
Warren too out of this year, but I don't know if they would start being true freshmen.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And
I mean,
those were two guys.
if
that
you're good
Oklahoma
enough,
wanted.
I mean, we played a true freshman. You know, you'll do it if the talent's there. If you think that's going to make you successful, so that's a good question to ask. But overall, that's why I said when I look at the numbers, man, it's not going to be as bad as people think. It ain't. We got a lot there.
Look, and just kind of like, I was really thinking about this while you guys were talking, but I think it's 3 points as far as the defense. Obviously, it was just returning production, but I think 3 points of emphasis that you have to really, talk about when you talk about this defense going to the SEC, about them possibly being elite. I think one, the SEC obviously offers you the chance to be more aggressive with your play calling, because you're not going to see that Big 12 style of ball as far as, spreading you out, doing different things like that. So by that, that byproduct causes, McCullough to be on the field a lot more, right? And I look for him to be more active and be more acclimated in his defense as well. But two, honestly, I think if it 2 and 3, my point 2 and 3 is this: if you can clean these 2 things up, I think this defense could be top 10, to be honest with you. And that's me having very lofty goals and being very optimistic. But
Yes.
if you're coming into the season and you tell me, you say, hey, I think we're going to be better situationally, meaning third down, we get it right? Like, hey, we're aggressive on third downs, but we're also able to do what? We're also able to play zone. So if you're able to really clean those 2 things up, even just semi-clean it up, I think this defense, the world could be, hey, it's only up from there. Because I mean,
Right.
that would really put them over. I think that would get you over the hump of where you really wanted to be, where you're not losing those 2 or 3 games, per year by, 5 points or less, right? So, I mean, I think if you could clean those things up, and that's the hope with Allie coming in as the, new DC, but obviously I think everybody knows Venables is still going to be calling that defense. But I think if you can do those 2 things, just fix that situational play calling on third and or fourth down, and then also be able to play zone, go a long way, man.
It will, and you got to be able to play zone in college because it gives your players a break, right? That way they can pay attention, and it's better for in some not only pass situations, but also being able to help stop the run, because you can react a lot faster because you're paying attention to an area and you can get there. So I anticipate us. I've seen it. We're number 8 in the country in production, coming back at roughly 80%, 79% total. This defense is going to be a Brent Venables defense next season. This is going to look like Clemson did, right? This defense will. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to say it as we speak. And Kim pointed this out beautifully, because this is how I felt about the offensive line. Every 2 years, we're basically retooling, because we do a good job of the dudes that we get on the line, they end up going pro, right? We've got Guyton was here 2 years, and he's a first round pick. He's going to be late first round. Could be mid, depending on how the combine looks, but he's got all of the tools that every single scout that I've looked at said, nah, this dude is going to be somebody legit. So Beaton Bo does this on a regular basis. This is what we can say. But defensively, Chris, you said it right, man. I feel like this defense is going to be top 10. They've got all the tools to do it. Bringing back 3 key veterans to help teach the young players the offense. This, to me, I'm going to say this. Jaron Canick's going to have a Denny's Tutzman season next year.
100%. I agree with that.
And so is Kip Lewis.
Kip Lewis is a monster.
So I'm going to be out. So in saying that, I think we see less Danny than we do those 2.
Can I say this? I kind of, and I hadn't, can't go through a power dimension. Shout out to my uncle, but we had this conversation. And we kind of think that Cannon could be the odd man out next year simply because of some of the guys behind him.
Oh, I mean, he better be careful because Sammy Omasigo or Lewis Carter could take his job. I mean,
Exactly.
here's the
I'm
thing,
just
though.
saying. I'm just saying.
I get it.
I'm
Y'all
just
not wrong.
saying. Hey.
Y'all not wrong, but I do think it's going to end up being Kanik and Kip.
Kanik plays just like Danny Stutzman did in the first season with Brent Venables. He played very loose and he made boneheaded mistakes. And I just feel like under the tutelage of BV and Danny Stutzman, who he spends a lot of time with, he's going to get his crap together.
And Allie runs the same D. So
Yeah.
Allie
I
knows
just
where
want to
be at
understand
linebacker.
why people think this OU defense wasn't very good last year, because I understand we lost to KU and we lost to BYU, but I want people to understand you have
State. We didn't lose
healthy,
to BYU.
Oh, yeah, Oklahoma State. You have a healthy Gentry Williams and a healthy Danny Stutzman in both of those games. You win both of those games. And you probably have a top 30 defense at the end of the year, because before Danny Stutzman got hurt, Oklahoma was like number 35 in total defense.
It was attrition. Attrition is what kicked our tail, which that's the beauty of this next season is, and y'all have heard me say this ad nauseum, and I'm going to keep reminding y'all this. Miguel Chavis tweeted this out, that we play a bunch of young players, over 4,200 snaps. I think it was like 4,240, and this was before the bowl game. Like 4,240 snaps was played by players that were freshmen, redshirt freshmen, or sophomore. So either 1 to 2 years of college experience. That's huge, right? That means you're playing a lot of young players, which they're gonna make bonehead mistakes, right? You can't fix that. Like you can't fix that within their first year. That's something that they have to learn from experience of. They tricked you. Now you need to understand how not to be tricked. So the good thing is you got Woody Washington coming back at corner. So with him and Gentry Williams,
Or
Gentry ain't healthy. Makari Vickers has got some experience now. So does Jacoby Johnson. You're bringing in Des Malone, who's a veteran. You got Kendall Dobie, who can play corner, no problem, but he's so much better at cheetah and blitzing. So you've got that. So because of the attrition problems we had last year, all these dudes have been in the system 1 year. So if one falls, the next man can be up because he's actually playing. And I think that that's the one thing a lot of people aren't recognizing in how they're doing this. This is why we're taking bigger recruiting classes. They want homegrown dudes. They want dudes that's homegrown that they recruit and bring in instead of bringing in a bunch of transfers. They bring in transfers to fill some holes, but the goal is to make sure that the young players we have get enough snaps to where they can recognize stuff. And when injuries happen, it's not as bad as we dealt with before. You get what I'm saying?
No, exactly.
I like that.
No,
I like that we're going that direction.
What you're saying in a nutshell can be summed up in just this one statement. This is a year where competitive depth actually meets the talent. Okay,
there you go.
The expectation and all the rest of that. This is when because I feel like, think of it like a paradigm shift, right? You went from we want to be this, that we talking about being this ruthless, aggressive, and suffocating defense to, hey, we're still trying to build that competitive depth. It's here now.
Yeah, and it's all about that experience. Like you said, the talent is there. The bigger problem we had, we just didn't have the experience, because as the season goes on, I mean, your top players, you're gonna see injuries, you're gonna have exhaustion, all of that. But that's the beauty, is we're gonna get all of that now. We're gonna get all of that.
And what you get now is how BV wants to run a team, which is the way he did it here at Oklahoma before and the way he's done it at Clemson.
Right.
Now you get a whole recruiting cycle that pretty much gets to sit on the sideline for a year. They get to be in the strength room, in the conditioning room, and they get to be in all those practices and stay healthy for a whole year, so that when they're sophomores or redshirt freshmen, they're ready to go. Yeah. That's the important thing. And that's why I stress on it all the time. And this isn't just defense. Like, go look at what the Kansas City Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. Right? Yeah. They brought him in and they sat him down for an entire year and said, we're going to
thing with Aaron Rodgers.
And you get to watch. And then now look at it. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Most quarterbacks that just get thrown out there I mean, why do you think they don't do well for the first couple of years? Because they don't get to sit there. They don't get to learn NFL offense. They get thrown into the fire, and it stunts their growth. And it's the same way for Brent Venables' defense. You get them in there. You sit them down. They get an opportunity to learn, soak it all in. They're going to be better players. It doesn't stunt their growth. And I think that's what we're going to finally be able to see.
I think
Before you go, Chris, let me point this out. So Chuck Kearney asked this question. Chuck, thank you for this. Why do they opt for the Michigan guy? So Keon Sabb was recruited by Venables at Clemson. He was committed to Clemson, and then Venables left to come to Oklahoma, and then he reopened his recruitment, dropped his top 4, ended up in Michigan on early signing day. They offered him because we lost Key Lawrence in the portal, because Key wasn't going to get as much game as he would have liked. But Robert Spears-Jennings and Peyton Boeing dealt with injuries last year. Mm-hmm. You bring in Sabb, who has some experience, played on the national championship team. You bring him in to where all those young safeties like Powers and Hardy and Michael Patterson, McDonald, all of them can just sit and learn, just like PG said. They can sit and learn instead of immediately having to play. You bring that veteran in there. And I think that, and if I'm correct, Allie also runs like a 3 safety setup sometimes. So then you can just, you have now a rotation of 4 dudes that are veteran and just based upon health too. So Bowman, Bowen, Robert Spears-Jennings, and then, you bring in Sabb, and then you have Powers and Hardy, all of them. Because Powers, I know, physically looks like a Division I football player already. Like he's built for it. So you offer a guy like that that's won a natty, that's got the experience. So you have, when Billy Bowman is gone next year, because he has to leave after this year, you still get him for 1 more year as a veteran with all of the other veteran pieces you're putting together. You're just plugging in little holes that you need to have plugged in. Do we need him? No. Would it be nice to have? Yes. Because then you can have your young guys learn the playbook and study better. And you're not forcing them to throw it in there and get that immediate experience in critical games when you don't really want them to, right? Yeah. That's really my thought.
And one more thing to add to that, because I know he says the room is full, and I get there's a lot of safeties there, but one thing a lot of people aren't looking at, and I thought about this last night, Billy Bowman coming back another year. For Billy Bowman, this is going to be a year of just really fine-tuning his craft and that ability to play at the safety position, which means there's probably a good chance you don't see Billy Bowman play the amount of snaps that he did the year before, because this year it's all about putting up really good film and showing prospect or whatever you call them, analysts, that he has fine-tuned his craft, but also not playing so many snaps that it could actually hurt him, and hey, I gave up something big or something there. So I think if you bring in a guy like Sabb, he might be able to take some of those snaps off Billy Bowman, and you get 2 really good safeties. And then also, they're not deadbeat tired. You're not putting a bunch of miles on Billy Bowman for this upcoming draft. I think you got to look at it from a bigger picture and say Billy Bowman's trying to prepare himself to be draft eligible, and he's just fine-tuning the little things. Maybe taking a little bit of miles off of him won't hurt him in terms of his draft eligibility.
And so the question here was, did Sabb play much? Did he start? Yeah, in a lot of games he did. Like I'm looking at his numbers on PFF. He had like over 360 snaps. National championship game, he played 61 snaps. 46 in coverage, 15 on the rush defense. So he played 61 snaps in that game. Obviously, he's one of your starters. I know he dealt with some health problems. I think he got hurt or whatnot, but I know he started against Washington in the title game at free safety. So he's played both free and strong. But you put him out there at free with Robert Spears-Jennings. You have Bowen and Bowman rotating at the strong. You're going to probably play a lot more Peyton Bowen than you are Billy, because you're going to let the young guy get out there and really show his talent. But at the same time, you're rotating dudes often. You got to just keep them healthy, right? And depending on who these offenses you're playing against, how many of them are tempo based. Yeah.
Which is primarily where the game's going nowadays. Right. College football teams run high tempo. So especially you got to think about it. Corners and safeties are running a lot. So if you're able to constantly swap those guys out with elite talent and give guys a breather, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
And you don't want to play a lot of your young players, right? Like I put it to you like this. if you followed me for a while, you've heard this before. For anybody new, let me kind of give you let me explain. I don't like when freshmen play. There's one reason why. It's not that I don't think they're talented enough or they can't make it happen. All freshmen get tricked at certain points.
Yeah.
Alabama versus Texas. Caleb Downs.
No.
He was overly aggressive. What did Texas do? They used it against him. He couldn't adjust. Why? Because only his second game in college football. So Texas knew what to do. They kept baiting him, and they just kept throwing it over the top behind him. That's what happens with freshmen. Proctor, their other offensive lineman. Me and Ty talked about it a lot. He was getting baited like crazy against Michigan.
Yeah.
And he started all season. So that happens to freshmen. And it's all about learning the playbook, knowing how to react. And most of it is just experience. It's not talent. It's just experience. Because I can trick somebody that has less experience than me on the field with stuff. That doesn't mean I'm more talented than them. Right? And so having an additional vet in there helps those young dudes just learn the playbook faster. And then you can start moving them in. Because most of the time you want your young players to play. You don't want them to start at the beginning of the season. You want them to start playing more at the end of the season when everybody's hurt, injured, and you can start bringing in young legs. It's going to be nasty. Constant rotation. And Reggie Powers Jr. pointed out, secondary will be rotating guys. Too deep will be playing every game. The goal is to keep them as fresh as possible going into the playoffs.
Well, and another
keep fresh legs out there.
Let me get a point in. So
Yeah.
one thing I would definitely say is this right here is that I think that you do want some rotation and keep guys fresh, but you also want rotation for certain packages. Because if Harrington can stay healthy this entire year, I'm telling y'all, there were some things that this defense was supposed to do last year as far as putting certain packages out there on the field, especially in third down, that we did not get to see. And it could have been very deadly for a lot of teams that we faced last year if you have Harrington, McCullough, Stutzman, Bowman, Bowen, Woody, Gentry on the field. Come on, man. Let's just be real. Like you had there was some stuff that was supposed to happen. One thing I would definitely say, just if I may, I think this is a conversation that gets overlooked a lot. Me and my uncle talk about this, I say every other day, maybe once every other week or so. But Venables gets a lot of flack for a lot of the stuff that you and PG were talking about. I always ask I'm like, man, do you think that Venables would have did anything differently coming here? And he's like, yeah, he probably would have been way more aggressive in the portal year one if he knew if he knew now what he knew then, right? But the thing is that it's beautiful because you see he played the long game, and now I think that in year 3 it's really going to all come together, and I think everybody's going to be sitting there saying, man, maybe we gave him a bad rap too early because this dude can really coach. It just took time to get that talent there. And I mean, kind of goes back to what Ty always talks about as far as inheriting the sins of the father. And I think that, coming here, he had basically fixed the culture that a lot of OU fans, if you really ask OU fans if they knew what was going on, they'll tell you, oh yeah, I think I knew what was going on. But that's because of all the stuff that we've heard from the Lincoln Riley era, but people don't really know how bad it was. They just know about the success on the field. So there's a lot of things that you had to break, a lot of bad habits, a lot of different things that you had to do with the culture of this program. So I always think that that's a conversation that gets overlooked because nationally, for some odd reason, a lot of people, especially you jump in random Twitter spaces, they hate BV. They think he's this, they think he's that. And it's just like, dude, for some people, it just takes time. It just takes time.
Yeah.
Now, one more thing on Sab, though. Why would you take Sab? I just want to point this out. Billy Bowman's 5'10". Sab's 6'2". So what happens when you're going up against a taller wide receiver core and you need taller safeties and corners out there and you have them? I'm just saying.
I don't know because I saw Billy Bowman get the interception on Wilson, Johnny Wilson. Man.
I'm just saying if you can, if you've got the ability to match the size or get close to it, you're gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Sab's gonna be able to ball, and Billy's, like you said, Billy's gonna just basically be here to hone his craft, teach the young players, and prepare himself for the NFL draft. He's already putting up stuff in his career to make him, move into one direction on a certain day of the draft. But now all he's doing is just sharpening it up to show that he has all the intangibles that they're looking for in order to go pro. But
He's
like
going
I
to
said,
drive up the Paycom every week and hand deliver his highlights from the previous week.
right. But like, here, guys, y'all know I should probably be,
Just to make sure y'all are seeing my highlights here. Here you go.
which I cannot believe. I still cannot believe that dude was not on the Thorpe Award. Like, how do you not?
Or Danny on the Butkus.
I figured he wasn't gonna make Buckets, but the both of them are stupid anyway. So anyway, not gonna lose my mind too much more on that. But looking at the production here, looking at these numbers, this is something for Sooner fans to be excited about. Bringing back that much freaking production, and all you got to do now is put it together. And the good thing is bringing in a young, innovative defensive coach who acts like an exact replica of your head coach. He probably thinks exactly like him, calls plays exactly like he would. You're going to see a completely different defense when it comes to execution. Like, the defense itself is going to be overall good. It's not going to fall apart late in the season, especially now we got the experience. You bring back all this production. You got the experience. These young guys know what they're supposed to be doing. We just got to tell them to.
You want to know what's funny about these rankings? If we were solely going off these rankings, some of the top teams in the SEC next year would be like A&M, Florida, Texas, Missouri. Those would be some of your top teams in the SEC.
No,
Like,
you're
going off
right.
the
Because
rankings.
look at this. So I think, no, let me see. The only one is, I think A&M's the only one on this list that's top 5 in them in Texas are top 5.
And
in
look at
offensive
all of
defensive
the
production
stuff
coming back.
A&M lost this season, and they still in the top 5 in both.
In offense and defense. They brought back that many players that actually played on the field. Ain't that crazy?
Yeah,
Look at that. Bama's down at
all
the
that 22
bottom.
class didn't play. Imagine that.
Right. They're bringing back all their Alabama lost all their defensive production, and they barely got any of their offensive production coming back. Georgia's like us; they're kind of all over the place. Third in offense, down in the bottom in defense, but we're top in offense and bottom in offense, top in defense. Which the funny thing about that is just that it's because we lost our quarterback and offensive line. You got your quarterback, your best your top producing wide receiver in catches and yards and touchdowns, as well as a running back who's one of your top running backs in Tyree, who was right behind Sawchuk, and your offensive line. But all of that stuff is like not something that's like detrimental. Like, we didn't lose our most talented wide receiver. We still got Nick. We still got, hopefully Jaleel stops, fumbling the ball. I think he'll learn that this summer, which is going to be a good thing. Jaden Gibson. So when we talked about duos, going back to that, PG, you heard me say this. I think Jackson Arnold, Nick Anderson is going to be good. Jackson Arnold, Jaden Gibson. Remember, he caught 2 touchdowns from him this season.
Yeah.
You didn't realize that, right?
No, I do realize
Jaden
that.
Gibson's touchdowns was from Jackson Arnold.
I do realize that. I heard you say that. I know what OU can do. I'm just interested to see what some of the other teams on the rankings can do.
Yeah.
It's funny because Florida, by looking at the rankings, should be a really good team next year.
Yep.
But their schedule is so freaking hard. They're going to be lucky to win 5 games.
Yeah, they have the the toughest.
They have the toughest schedule in all.
Yeah,
of college
toughest
football
schedule
next year.
in college football is what everybody is saying. Let me pull
It is
up
the
real quick.
Jay. It is the toughest schedule in college football. I don't think they get out of the UCF game without firing Billy Napier, because if he loses to UCF and Miami, they ain't beating Florida State, so they're going to get swept by all 3 Florida teams.
I mean, there's a good chance for that. So this is what it looks like. Good Lord. So 247 thinks that, of course, us and Florida have the top 2 hardest schedules in college football. That's going to be
I don't think our
fascinating.
schedule's that tough, to be honest with you, because I don't think Alabama's that tough of a game anymore. I don't expect South Carolina to be that hard of a team. I look at the hardest games being Ole Miss and LSU.
I don't even think LSU's going to be that tough of a game, to be honest. I think the
it'll be a
toughest
night game there.
games.
That's why I think it'll be tough.
Oh, I can see that. Fair point. I'll
That's
give you that.
that's why I say it's tough. I don't see a world where LSU is so bad that they go, yeah, that's not a night game. They gonna give Oklahoma the business with the night game right there. Like
And it'll be
they're
Thanksgiving
going to
too.
try it.
Last game of the season.
Just like I think
Yeah.
Oklahoma's first game against Auburn is going to be a night game, and I think they're going to give Oklahoma and Texas some of the hardest environments they possibly can.
That's a 2:30 game, boy.
You think it'll be a 2:30 game?
I think
That's an
it'd be a
SEC 2:30 game.
Yeah, I
Probably.
think it'd be an SEC 2:30 game.
I'm here for it though.
2:30
I'm
will
not
be a good
complaining.
environment for Auburn, though. That'll still be a pretty tough environment.
No, it will be.
I'm
There's
just
Jordan
saying
here.
they're going to try to figure out how to give Oklahoma and Texas the toughest environments possible in the schedule.
Auburn and Missouri will be like playing at K-State or playing at Texas. I wouldn't say not. I mean, like I was about to say Texas Tech. I wouldn't say that, but it's
Texas
like
Tech, Missouri. That's a good comparison.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like playing in those environments where it's very ruckus, it's very, very, hostile or whatnot. But if you do go in there and do what you need to do, take them out and take the crowd out of the game, then they'll leave.
I know a lot of people are like Missouri who, and I know y'all want to clown on Missouri, but guys, please do not overlook Mizzou. We all overlooked them this year, and I told y'all they were going to be good. And as long as Drink doesn't screw it up, Mizzou's going to be pretty good again, okay?
That's the thing about it,
don't
man.
overlook them.
Well, that's the thing, dog, is that we keep saying this about that. What makes you think he won't screw it up?
Yeah.
We don't
He
have
didn't
we don't
screw it
have
up
any
last year,
definitive-
okay?
We don't have any definitive data proving that he won't screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
He had one good year. We've seen that at Texas too. We said the same thing about Charlie Strong, same thing about Tom Herman. And we've seen this at programs like that. We've seen it in Missouri. Missouri's had 10-win seasons before.
Tennessee
and
as
then fallen
well.
off the face of the earth right afterwards, right?
Tennessee
Let's
as
see.
well.
Tennessee
Yeah, but they didn't have
also.
this
And
kind of
I
talent
like the
either.
Vols. Y'all know that. So I need the consistency of them actually producing more than 1 year.
I understand that, but Drink didn't have this talent before either. That's what I'm saying. Like Missouri.
He didn't have the
lost a
same
lot.
roster last year? Brady
Missouri
Cook was
lost a
quarterback?
lot, but they increased the amount of talent they had on that team this year through the portal tremendously, and they got like dudes that can ball.
Well, see, here's the thing. The thing about it is, for me, nobody has proven that they can win a title through the portal yet. No one has proven that.
Well, yeah, but they didn't replace half their roster with the portal. They just went and picked a couple guys out in positions of need, and they filled holes. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not they didn't do what USC or Colorado did. Like, they just went and picked out
say that
positions of need, and they went out and bought those players. And I don't want to sound like Mizzou homer. I'm just saying
you are. We all know you're a Mizzou homer.
I just think they're going to be a lot better than people think, and I don't want Oklahoma to go in there and overlook that team.
No, I mean they're a better. They are a how should I say this?
Let me say this though.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say they're tough for Oklahoma State. I think that's a good comparison. Why? Because they have a lot of the same tendencies. Now defensively, they're I think they're better than O State. But you just have to basically tell them, hey, look, y'all are not gonna kill us with any of these home run hitters. Y'all are not gonna come out here and catch us slipping and take the umbrella off, take the hood off of this thing. Y'all are not gonna do that. Gosh, Theo Weiss is gonna have to beat us, and he's gonna have 140 yards.
Dude, he had a good year last year.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying that, hey, he's a possession guy, right? So you're basically telling him Burden is not going to beat you down the field. You're going to have to get him over the field, over the middle, different things like that, and really figure out how to use him because somebody else is going to have to be that guy that steps up. But, I mean, Brady Cook, like I said, they just kind of – it's Gunny-like with their approach to offense because there are some games where you're just like, why aren't y'all doing what you normally do, which is try to take the hood off of the defense, but – yeah, I mean that's who I compare them to. So I'm not necessarily underestimating them, but I think we'll get there. I think what we do is with this season, especially for OU, I think you just piecemeal it. I think it's kind of 3 games at a time because that Auburn game to me is the one that's kind of the trappiest of trap games because that's right before the Red River game. So basically, like I said, with these games here, especially with those 2 buys built in this year, I think that you kind of have to look at it that way, where it's
3 buys.
3 game, yeah, 3. Oh, you got 3 buys. So I think
Maine is a buy game. Let's
okay,
keep it real.
Maine is going to be the game where you play all of them freshmen, and you be like, all right, we're playing some of the guys for a quarter and a half. Everybody else, you're playing this game. We're seeing what you got.
Right.
I want Auburn to be undefeated when we play them, because if Auburn's undefeated, they're a lot harder to overlook at that point.
That's true.
And
we would actually have to pay attention at that point.
Because their toughest game on their schedule before they play us is Arkansas, and all of their games before they play us are at Jordan-Hare.
And Arkansas has a new quarterback as well. You know, I'm surprised Sam Pittman still survived. But look at it. So Drink took the job in December of 2019. Here's his classes. He had the 51st ranked class in 2020 cycle, 26th in the 21 cycle. In the 22 cycle, he was 15, so he started moving up. The 23rd cycle, his recruiting class was, this is getting bad. I'm past 50 in here. I'm going.
I think you're missing the point, though, Jay. I think I'm still going.
I'm at 100.
I think you're missing the point, though.
No, that's my point. Is that everybody that we've seen as dominant in the national title run, they're 34th in that 23 cycle. And in this past cycle, for the 24 class, Missouri was sitting at 20. So, your title teams, top 10 recruiting classes.
I'm not saying they're going to be a title team. I'm just saying they're going to be a team that comes in there and they're going to be a hard win. They're not going to be an easy win. And I think I've heard a lot of OU fans talking like we're just going to come in there and run all over Missouri. And that's not going to be the case. Like Missouri
historically,
is a better team than that.
Historically, we have, especially even with their good teams. So
yeah, but I think this is one of Missouri's best teams, though. I don't think this is one of their 2007, 2008. I think this is one of their better teams that they've had. Just in a compilation of talent.
So you think this team is better than their conference championship teams?
I mean, look at the compilation of talent they have on this team compared to what they had then.
I mean, those teams went to conference championships. That's kind of my point. They won 2 division titles in a row as soon as they got into the SEC.
Yeah, but there was also a time where the SEC was getting run over by Big 12 teams because of our high-tempo offense, and the SEC teams at that time were not running that kind of offense, so they were building for more so kind of pound the ball, and Missouri and Texas A&M were able to do whatever they wanted to those SEC teams.
I don't know. I still got to be proven.
Was it Missouri and Texas A&M or no? Because Texas A&M was already kind of because TCU was in the Big 12. You don't remember that? Kenny Trill of all people. That's a name.
Yeah,
Kenny Trill was beating Arkansas
and Johnny Manziel, and then they had Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, Manziel. You know they beat Alabama. They didn't play in a conference championship game.
No, yeah.
You know, I get you there. I'm just saying. I need this to actually be proven to me.
No, I understand what you're saying. I just don't want Oklahoma, especially the team, to overlook that game because it's Missouri and we have history of running over to them. Like people talking like Missouri is just a scrub, and they're not a scrub. Like they're going to be one of the harder games on our schedule.
I think they're a scrub, but we'll see.
We'll revisit
I think they're
this
fake. I think they're
November,
fried.
Jay. We'll revisit this in November.
Oh, we will, because I think they're fried. All right.
But as far as the Auburn thing goes, if Auburn's undefeated, that's Oklahoma's best scenario because you're not going to be overlooking a 4-0 Auburn team going into Texas.
I mean, that's true. No, you're right. So, okay, let's wrap it up. Last thing I want to talk about, y'all know, like the game. We got something that showed up to us yesterday, you know.
Oh, yes.
NCAA 25 will be here.
Mm-hmm.
It's official. Chris, PG, how excited are y'all about this game coming through?
Okay, so fellas, let's go ahead. Let's wrap this up. Just go ahead. Everybody shut up. Listen to me, okay? The Black Mike Leach is talking right now.
Oh, bloody. Here we go.
The best player that you've ever met, okay? I could give it to you any type of way that you want it, all right? Any type of way that you want it. There's not a soul out here that can honestly sit across from me and say they could beat me at this game. Okay?
You've never played me, Chris. You've never played me.
All I know is this right here. I've never played you. It doesn't really matter. Okay? I'll just let you know.
Do you know how much time I pour into video games? Ask Jay how
That
much
is,
I pour into
hey,
video games.
that is perfectly fine. But when the Black Mike Leach gets that headset on and that controller in his hand, it's different. All right, it's a different animal. I don't know if you're ready for that. Jay, you know you my boy. I gave you a lot of hell for a certain quarterback that you had, but I'm gonna leave you alone because you gave me this
Wow.
invite to the show. So I'm just gonna let you live. But
Wow.
I am
This is
so excited for this game coming out. Jay, I couldn't wait till we got to. I couldn't wait to get to this topic. You talked about a wish list. Well, there's two things that I wish
yeah.
for the most is that they don't put Ollie Gordon as a 99 on this next game, and then two that they don't put Quinn Ewers as a 96. I mean, those ratings to me, I've seen some projective ratings, and I'm just like, this is crazy. How do we get here? How did we get here?
I'll be honest. One thing I really hope is that they go closer to the old school NBA Live ratings, and they didn't put anybody at the 90s. Right? Make the game a
Only
true
99
challenge.
player should be Caleb Williams.
I don't even think Caleb's gonna. Well, he ain't gonna be on the game, but
Yeah,
ain't
Well,
nobody.
literally, if you were looking at a 99 player, he is a 99 player.
95 is the best I would give him, but that's me. Because we saw his record this season. A 99 player ain't having that kind of record.
I mean, unfortunately, there's only so much you can do by yourself in football.
Yeah, you just win the
Yeah.
games. That's what you do. That's what we've watched him do before. We saw him do that all the year before that. Defense was still bad, and he was doing it. So that's kind of my thought with that. But I do want them to not provide that. I think if anything, I want to see in there. I would love to see a lot of the mechanics and mechanisms from 14, especially in the
Yeah.
recruiting piece. Toss in some NIL, toss in a little transfer portal stuff, and keep it simple. I don't want it to be mad. I don't want it to be too
Yeah.
complex in the gameplay. I don't need you to have me doing 8 million adjustments unless I want to. Don't require me. Make it to where I can sit there and just be dumb and play.
Mhm. It needs to be a pick up and play. Don't add any crazy animations or anything like that.
Exactly. That's it.
Even if you do have to use some some Madden mechanics, here's a couple of things just to get it right. No nano blitzers. Please, all you guys out there that just literally run the pinch O all day or run any type of zero blitz plays, you guys don't know what you're doing. Okay. Take some of the cheesiness out of there. Obviously, guys are going to be trying to go and get the Lincoln Riley offense or the playbook, and it's all about playbooks, right? Oregon's playbook used to be a favorite of everybody's. Mine was obviously OU's, but with like Kevin Wilson and all those guys. But no, I think Jay, hey, what you said is right. Then go back to 14. Hell, if it was me, I'd go back to 2010 mechanics, but just with better graphics.
Yeah. 2010 was a good year too.
2010 was a really good year. The one with what was that Texas Tech wide receiver?
You're talking
Crabtree.
about
Crabtree, yeah. With Crabtree on the cover. Yeah, that or the one with Tim Tebow on the cover as well. Those were really good ones. I
Those are good.
live like, yeah.
Hell, we can go back to the Desmond Howard era if you want me to keep it a buck. I just want to be able to recruit my running back that bench presses 400 pounds and squats 600 and runs a 4.40. It's all I need in my life. I need it to be simple.
I just want to
easy.
have the mechanic where it says Missouri offered my player $500,000 to leave my program. Right? That's
That's
the only mechanic
stupid.
I want. I want to be able to see the NIL offers come across the table.
I don't even want to see them personally. I just want to. I'm good. I'm good. I don't need to know that I'm being outbidded. I don't need that. I don't need that negativity in my life.
Do you think they add in an NIL portion to this game where you have to go in and offer money to your players to be able to stay at the program for a year?
They have to. They have to add that. I
Or
mean,
do you-
right now in
or do you think
14.
they wait till next year's game to do that? Or do you think this year in this game it's more so bringing the game back, getting people back on it, and then next year you integrate some new mechanics like that into the game?
No, I think they'll add that in there. I think they'll add it in now.
Cool, because I'm going back and I'm getting Caden Green back on my team.
I mean, you can do that. But that's one of those things is that, so like in 14, they have a component now. They have a component in there for transfers to where if a kid wants to transfer out, you can convince them not to transfer. So you can say they're leaving because they want more playing time. Like, oh, I can promise you this many snaps if you stick around.
They need.
The problem is my dynasty is so good that when kids transfer out, it's like, yeah, I can't do anything for you because you weren't going to play.
So
I
what are
can't
you gonna
promise
do
you.
when you're not playing that dynasty by yourself and you got me in there and those kids, because I'm gonna recruit your best players.
I mean, you could try.
Hey,
He's gonna be like, "I'll give you $4 million to come play for my squad."
Oh, I'm not even gonna do the money. Picture this right here. I'm sick.
Oh,
I'm sick in the head with it. Okay, so picture this.
Disgusting individual.
Jay calls UPG. Is like, I can't believe what Chris Weave has stooped this low. This recruit came to me and told me, Coach, I don't know if I'm coming anymore, and because you're not gonna be here next year. You may not be here the next year either. Coach Griffin told me that you're suffering.
So you're gonna be lying. You'll be lying to my players nonstop. Okay.
Hey, that is a tactic people use on the recruiting trail against guys like Lincoln Riley, and they had to be doing it against what's his name out there at LSU this year.
Oh yeah,
rumors that were circulating. Like those are real things. Like those are real conversations.
I'm done with you. I'm done with you, Chris. He gonna be here lying to my people. You know what?
Because you guys used to be able to realign your conferences. Do you think they bring that back?
Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool.
Of course.
Yeah.
Can I need to be able to customize it like that? Like I actually need to reset mine up now.
Game and immediately go to the Pac-12 and delete that conference.
What gives
I just want to hit delete
the two-man conference?
I'm going to delete that conference and Oregon State, and they can come down to the Big 12. Otherwise, the Pac-12 getting deleted.
What gives you so much hope is that the revamp guys are really instrumental in this game as well. So a lot of stuff that they've added and a lot of different things. And I think one of the things I'm excited about, though, that can be Madden-like is just like the updated seasons, right? Different covers, different things like that, different, and obviously I'm saying this to everybody just to save you grace or save you the headache. Look,
don't play Chris.
Chris, I am starting a YouTube channel for this so we can all play each other live stream. Everybody can watch you get your ass whooped on this game.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to do it.
I am starting a YouTube channel so that we can play people live. Like, people can come in and watch this.
PG, I have plans for you and Ty.
I'm just letting y'all know. Auburn and beat him by 40.
I'm just letting y'all know. I was ranked in Madden. That's how much I played that. Like, leading up to before I became this whole lawyer and all the rest of the stuff. I was ranked in Madden, like nationally. Oh no, internationally. There's a lot of people out there that caught some country boy ass whoopings. Don't be the next one. Okay,
we ain't have to worry about that.
Listen, we're gonna have one of the biggest NCAA football video game channels where everybody's gonna be able to come in, watch some butt whoopings in there. We're gonna get some high profile people in there. Watch, it's gonna happen. We're gonna do it. Be ready, y'all.
We'll put it together. All right, we'll wrap it up.
Hey, Steve Wilfong wants to play too, so maybe we can get him on.
Last thing I will say. All right. Everything that the people that y'all play with the most that taught y'all a lot, anything that they didn't teach y'all, I will. Okay.
This man loves it.
Anything they didn't teach y'all, I will.
Chris, all I need you to do, though, is every week we get on with Ty. You talk shit. Auburn by 40. I just need you every time you play Ty. Auburn by 40. Every time. No more, no less. Just Auburn by 40. I need that to live in his head.
I hope Ty fights you. I just hope he fights you at this point. I just need that to happen at this point. So anyway, all right, we're going to wrap it up. Thank y'all for pulling up. PG, let people know where to find you. Then Chris, you follow up, and then we'll close this bad boy out.
Yeah, y'all can find me here on YouTube, Apple, Google, or Spotify, The PG Show. Hey, listen, as we talked about earlier, we got Junior Day lists coming out. You're going to see more visitors on campus sporadically, maybe not on these Junior Days or on the 2026 days, because I think the April and the March dates are not technically Junior Days. They're like that year where you're shooting out the next one, so you're going to see a lot of 2026 and 2027 guys, but we're going to review all those lists, and hey, the good news is you don't have to pay for that content, so just come on over, get it for free. Let me mention that again.
Don't do that. We ain't here to start no problems.
And yeah, we'd love to have you be a part of it.
We ain't here to start those problems. Chris, let the people know.
All right. Hey, everybody, you guys can find me at the Horns Down Podcast on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast at as well. Got some more top 5 videos that we're going to be bumping out here soon. Like I said, the video about why Jackson Arnold will be successful in 2024. That's up, that's running. Thank you guys for all the love, the support. Definitely head on over there to that channel, subscribe, like, share, do all those different things as per usual for this channel as well. Thanks for the invite, bro. Appreciate you.
Always, man. Always. PG, you need to we ain't gonna do that. All right. We out. We'll tie it up later. Peace.